Hey guys, you here? Ponics. Today we're talking about fishes. Fishes.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast, episode 242. This week we have Chuck Collins of Together We Grow out in Arizona. Thanks a lot for joining us this week.
Happy to be here, brother. Thanks for having me.
All right. We also have a really good show lined up for you guys tonight. I'm super stoked. He has a really, really cool little farm out there and has been very popular on YouTube lately. And he's going to tell us all about all the cool stuff he's been doing out there. He actually has one of the neatest off-grid aquaponic systems I've seen anywhere. Certainly one that's been shown off start to finish. Sorry, there's some funny stuff in chat.
Nice.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for joining us this week. And then also check out, for those of you that don't know, you can check out, I'm a little bit behind this week. Sorry, guys. apmjclass.com, which you can see here. We have a huge online class, a huge library of topics. We have 2 live sessions a month. The next live session will be Sunday the 13th at noon Pacific time. So if you got questions and you're one of the students, be sure to check that out. We will be sending the link out the day before if you need that. And then, but yeah, we cover a whole wide range of different topics. We have pictures, videos, system tours of all the different types of commercial facilities that we don't post on anywhere else, and a whole new build out at Marty's, a whole new greenhouse build that he's doing. And then I have some couple larger facilities we'll be doing step-by-steps with later this year. So we'll have a lot of really cool content that we'll be adding each month on top of the already 650 plus slides and over 7 days of filmed content that we already have on there just in course material. So be sure to check that out if you're looking for more of a deeper education on aquaponic cannabis. Oh, looks like you lost him there. Hopefully he'll be back in a second. He was having some connection issues a little bit earlier, but he has a really, really cool.
Sorry about that, guys.
No worries. So you have a really awesome farm out there in Arizona that's become quite the hit online. Why don't you tell us about yourself and a little bit about your farm? You have a really, really cool off-grid solar-powered aquaponics system, and yeah, it's really, really cool.
I appreciate that, my man. It started when I was a little kid. My mom, and I love saying this because, and I love spreading this because, guys, if you're lucky enough to have a parent in your life, even both of them, love them, cherish them, because my mom is my everything. And I know it's corny, I'm a half century old, but my mom really is my everything. And through my grandparents, I always had a garden around me. My grandparents down in Baltimore, Maryland, we always had a farm, cows, chickens, the whole nine. And in upstate New York, my mother, who's originally, my grandmother, who's originally from Virginia, she had always had a beautiful, just gorgeous garden in her backyard. So not only was I fascinated with the gardens, I was fascinated with the insect life that was happening around them. I was fascinated with the entire everything. It seemed like, as hectic as the world was around me, these plants, these insects, these little animals, they had it together. And I always felt at peace with that. Now, being from the ghetto, we didn't have much of anything, but like I said, my mom fostered my imagination. Thank you, Mommy. And, not only gardening, so she would take me from the garden and then she'd take me to the children's library and she'd introduce me to astronomy. And I remember this day so vividly, so fondly, because somehow, even at that age, I believe I somehow made a connection between the two, between the Earth and the stellar universe. And I've always searched to discover, investigate that connection. You know, how can we live on the moon? How can we live on Mars? We're living on Earth. We should be able to do this other places. And I was never able to like fully research it or fully follow through because, you know, I served the military, disabled veteran, all right, United States Navy. And I went on with my professional career as well as being a father, but I never left. I never lost that dream. I never lost that wanting to know, how can this happen? And I think it has a lot to do with being from the ghetto. When you have nothing, your imagination is everything. So there's no limit to what you can do. And to have parents to foster that, I think that's of the utmost importance because I definitely wouldn't be here like if I didn't. If I didn't. But enough of that. I know that's why I'm not here, my man. My bad. Back to the story at hand. Living in the desert gave me an opportunity to actually explore what that experience would be like, having Biosphere 2 here and knowing what Biosphere 2 was doing, but knowing that in some way, I think I can advance what they're doing with applied science. Now, if you hear what I said, I didn't say that I can change. I'm gonna change and just redo what they did. No, Biosphere encouraged me to advance what they were doing with already presented applied science. When I realized that, instead of looking at devices and things of that nature, pardon me, when I realized that, I said, I'm going to take this opportunity to use what I'm learning from my job. And hey, guys, I work at the Kitt Peak National Observatory. I'm a program specialist / astronomer. If you think I know gardens, you got to put me on the stars. That's my playground, is the sky. But back to what we were saying. That's not a shameless plug. Sorry about that, brother. But excuse me. Back to what we were saying. It's once we were in Tucson, we were like, we could apply a lot of these scientific theories that are out there, and we could really do it on a small scale from our backyard. Before NASA announced that they were going to use techniques such as aquaponics, and before NASA, which I think it was 3 months ago, announced that they were actually going to use tilapia, 4 years ago, whatever, 2017, 4 years ago, we were already thinking this is what they're going to have to do. So we said, if Biosphere 2 is in Tucson, pardon me, basically just outside, if it's in Arizona, we can really give this a crack. And so we set up, I can go through the whole story of how we got our aquaponics rig, but that's a whole different thing. I'm telling you, Steve, for you guys that are listening.
A lot of people don't, have access to stuff, and it might be another good way for other people to acquire stuff. I'd love for you to tell people about that.
Thank you, my brother. Trust me when I say this, my guys, Craigslist, Facebook Market are your friends, okay? Aquaponic groups, hydroponic groups, alternative gardening groups, sustainable gardening groups. Like I'm not like Brother Dread, the Dreadnought right there. I'm not like him, all right? I started in 2017. I'm new. I was able to go to people like him and find out and learn things. Because people who know and people who grow are not assholes. Excuse my language. I know you're gonna have to bleep that out, but pardon me. All right? Pardon me on that. But they're not. They're fantastic people. And when you get to know them, when you become a part of the culture, like I posted something today. For you guys that don't follow me on Facebook or whatever, I posted something today, something that I found in Peoria, Arizona. And it was 2 aquaponic rigs. One was a chop and flop. The other was a big bay, 300 tank and 2 tray. Both for $100. Both with biofilters included. Here's the thing. $100 a piece. Here's the thing. If you're connected, if you're in there, not only will you know how to grow, you will have the assets, you will have the resources to grow. That system that you guys see in that video, that aquaponics rig, cost me $225. That's it. All of the piping, the pumps, the tubing, the air stones, $225. Not because someone was desperate. They weren't. Is it okay if I shout someone out right now? Did I
You
do
can
that?
shout out, you can curse, you can do all the things on this
I
show.
did not know that, but my mama raised me right, so I'll try to hold my tongue, sir. All right. My
You can
mama raised me right.
we already get automatically flagged by YouTube because we're also
Yeah,
sometimes cannabis related. So
yeah.
we're already pre-flagged. So go ahead and say whatever you want.
My dude's name is well, and I call him my guardian angel. His name is Jed Darren. And we use the term together we grow, like our company does, because I've always been a person to reach out. And I believe that everyone is my friend. And when I say I love everyone, I really do love everyone. I love those who don't love me because that's the power of love. It's that magnificent, man. And I'm saying that because I went to one of my other best friends, one of my best friend's weddings. He's an MMA fighter out in Portland. His name is Mike Pierce. And I enjoyed the wedding. It was amazing. I met another friend. Well, if you guys are in Portland, his name is Des McMillian. He owns his gorgeous, gorgeous food truck. The truck is amazing. He's all vegan. He's a huge influence in my life. But I met Dax, hung out with Dax. I ended up meeting another person through Dax when I returned back to Tucson, Arizona. This is years later. And his name was Jed Derry. And Jed is like Renaissance man. He's like everyone that I named to you so far is like a superhero. I mean, like real life X Games superhero. Like these dudes jump off of mountains and shit for no reason, man. I mean, they do that. That their trucks don't look like that for no reason. Their trucks look like that because they run shit over. So I'm saying these are like those real. They need to have documentaries about them. Not even they need some shit on National Geographic kind of show because they're that truly living. They're so alive. And so, brother, Jed, I ended up meeting Jed, and it was at a time where my uncle Bryson died. So I was sending out to the universe the vibes to please help me deal with this. Please help me not even get over it because it was the biggest influence in my life. When he passed away, he wrecked our entire city where I came from. It broke us all. And Jed came through. He came through like a blessing. And I say that because, folks, when you put that positive energy out there, I'm not saying expect it to come back, expect something in return, but put it out there. And like Dory from Finding Nemo, just keep swimming, swimming and a swimming, swimming and a swimming. And that positive energy is going to compound and come back at you when you least expect it. And that's what happened with my aquaponics rig. That's what happened and Brother Jed, I got to tell you, man, that's kind of what's happening with you as well. It is. It is. I obviously have heard of you. It's just that you were so out of my realm of knowing. Like you're not gonna meet this dude. It's like the dude from Australia. What's his name? Rob Gray. You know what I'm talking about, right? Rob Bob. My name is Rob Bob out of Australia. Super gardener, super guy. Him, Brian Bullock. It's like you hear about these guys, but you don't expect to like meet them, or ever hear them say anything about you. And when you do, it's so humbling because all I did, and you hear me say this, is plant that first seed and started growing. The one thing that I always did is I never, ever, and I never will think that I know everything. When I meet anyone, I'm an open vessel. I'm an open vessel. Knowledge is most true to the vessel that is most open to carry it. Bam.
Awesome. And so why don't you tell people about your system design? You have a really cool, completely off-grid system with the solar power and the flood and drain and the bell siphons and the different things. Tell us about the layout of your stuff.
Well, you got it, brother. The entire system is powered by an 800-watt solar array with a 10 100 plus hour battery pack. With a 10 100 plus hour battery pack reserve. We also have, a 45-watt air pump. Now, when I tell you it's 45 watt, it's because when it comes to living off grid and having your aquaponics grid be sustainable, you're actually dealing with watts, and you have to know how many watts each device is using. So it's kind of a riddle to figure it out. But once you do, you can stay within confines of what your solar panels and your batteries can do on and off peak sun hour times. So that's what we figured. That's one thing. Yeah, the biggest thing that we have that pulls from our solar array would be our water chiller. And we use that to chill our hydroponics gardens. And we have that set on a timer basically from sun up to sundown. And we also have meters on every single outlet in our gardens that allow us to track how much power they're using, how much power they take, and when peak power hours are. Timing is everything, especially when living in a desert. You have to kind of think outside the box. We use a form of cooling. It's our own form of it's one form of evaporative cooling, and it's basically having a fan blow the hot air off of the top of the water. Now, let's keep in mind a larger volume of water, the easier it is to maintain a temperature in it. In ours, we have roughly a 350 gallon volume, 350 gallon volume of water with an additional 200 gallons of water in each grow bed, our 2 grow beds. Now, through each grow beds. So when the hot water, which is lighter, which is actually at the bottom of the fish tank, as it rises to the top. All right, now just keep in mind, it's this simple: evaporative cooling. As the hot water water molecules rise to the top, the fan creates a steady flow to remove those hot water molecules. The volume of hot water molecules that are now gone are replaced by cold water molecules. So with the ease use of a fan, and to give you an example, yes, but with the ease use of a fan, we keep a nominal temperature between 71 to 72, to 74. Today it was 104.8 in Tucson, Arizona, and the hottest it got in our aquaponics tank was 76 degrees. All of this is powered by that solar array again. So the fan using to cool the aquaponics rig and the actual chiller, the water chiller, being used to cool the hydroponics rig, all powered by the sun, which is very important to us right now because between the hours of 3 and 7 are our peak energy charge hours in the city of Tucson. And we're in the desert, and it's precious. It's precious. The least footprint you can leave on the grid, the better. Knowing that that garden can go out there. When we suffer through our rolling brownouts, knowing that the garden will never know the difference changes my mentality. Not just my mentality, it changes just your outlook, because thousands and thousands and thousands of gardens died last year. We had the hottest summer on record in history in Tucson, on history in Arizona. We had, I think, a month straight where the temperature was steadily over 110 degrees, something like that, 3 to 4 weeks. Our gardens, our aquaponics garden not only survived, it prospered, it blossomed. We were growing cucumbers and watermelon during the hottest heat wave in the history of Tucson. We had pictures. You go through our history on Facebook, you'll see them. I'm holding up a picture. I said, it's 114 degrees today. This is a 22-pound watermelon, aquaponics. So it's magical, but for aquaponics, we do have the 350-gallon primary tank. We have, it's gravity driven. So the only pump that we have is in a bucket, which takes the place of our sump pump, which is in the furthest away, the furthest most grow bed. So the water goes through the water goes through the lava rocks in the 2 grow beds. Might I add, we also have a healthy population of red wiggler worms in there that help with the breakdown process and also help with the nutrient creation process, being in the form of castings for the plant roots. It's pretty cool, I think. Oh man, I didn't know you were going to do that.
You can show off your farm a little bit. So you have a kind of a full integrated farm. You actually have pigs and stuff there. Why don't you tell us about some of the other stuff that you're doing aside from the aquaponic farming on your farm?
You got it, brother. Well, here you go. Those are our pigs. Kevin is the black one. Kevin's the black one. Wow, I got to get my pigs right. Kobe's the black one for Black Mamba, but it stands for Kobe. Honestly, I got to tell you guys something. It stands for Kobe bacon. Kobe beef. Kobe beef. Now, I know it's a pig, but I got a twisted sense of humor, man. And the other one is Kevin, the tan one. He's Kevin Bacon. And these guys, they're helping us rebuild our soil in the backyard because pigs are terrific rooters. So for 2 or 3 hours a day, we let them out. They turn over our soil. As the summer goes on, you'll look through our yard and you'll start seeing more and more grass show up. The pigs also provide pig poop, which we put into the compost tumbler, which provides nutritious fertilizer for our soil. We break it down to its till it's no longer hot. We break the nitrogen down out of it, and then we also offer it to our neighbors and to our resident growers in the city of Tucson. That would be our hydroponic system right there. And oh, look at that. That's our tomato towers. That was inspired by the hanging towers of Babylon. And our neighbors are growing grapes, and they have these beautiful overhanging grapevines. And I was like, what if we could do the same, but with tomatoes? And those tomatoes that you see are the same tomato plants from that paragraphic video. Those are all cloned from a tomato plant that we grew 2 years ago from seed. And that 2-year-old tomato plant survived the hottest summer that we had on record. So these dudes are bomb-proof, man. They are. You look at them now, you got cherry tomatoes bigger than golf balls on it. Okay, I think we're back up. There we go. More to the hydroponic. If you see that white camera, oh, there we go. Oh, those are my baby pigs again. Those are where the chickens are at. This is so cool. We use that black covering. That's a 40% shade block. And that's what we use to actually keep our temperature down in the desert. Now, our hydroponic and aquaponic gardens are both aligned east to west, west to east, because primarily that's the path that the sun travels. So you don't have to worry about blocking the sides. You just have to worry about covering their head. Sort of like our own heads. If we were out there on the beach, you got the sun hat on. Same effect with the shade cloth over the aquaponics tank and over the hydroponics tanks. I love our fish. And they, in the one video, in a documentary, I said that we have about 100 fish in here. We don't. We actually have about 60. And when I said, I want to clarify something else. When I said that they self-control their population, it's not that they're gobbling each other up. It's that in order for tilapia to usually and assuredly reproduce, they like a temperature between 80 and 86 degrees. Our tank never gets that hot. So their libido or their energy to actually breed, it's slowed down. It's slowed down. So it's, once again, it's nature. It's us using the temperature. The fish are happy. The plants are happy. The bacteria is happy. The worms are happy. We have plenty of video of the fish inside the tank. You can see for yourself how happy the fish are. You can actually pet our fish. They're very aware of your existence. So we don't harvest them in any way or form or fashion to where we're just going to take off 40 or 60 of you out at once. We don't do that. Sustainability means that you're growing within. You're growing within it. Sorry about that, sir.
They're making bacon seeds.
Yeah, just be quiet, man. Okay, this is what they do when they're nervous and they can't figure out what the hell's going on. They saw me talking on my phone in a video, and he's like, what the shit is this? Who's in front of him? There's nobody there. So Kobe does that. And then the other thing you see them doing with their heads against my leg, that's how they mark you. And that's how they say, hey, I love you. Is everything okay? They have these glands that emit the secretion on their necks. And basically that's they're communicating with you. When I tell you these guys are incredibly smart, they're super smart. That's my little solar array. Hey, you see that shed? That was thrown out on a curb by one of our neighbors. We picked it up. They helped us bring it over here. They said it was free. And we then went on Facebook Marketplace, on Craigslist, and we found the initial solar array that we got. So our aquaponics rig and our solar rig all together cost us about $425 initially. Just think about that. That's no batteries included or anything like that. This is the back end of the aquaponics rig. And you'll see that cover that's partially over the fish tank. You can also see that white band that we use to move the air over the tank. And this is the back end of the tomato garden. Look at that. We had a professional gardener come here and he just looked at those 4 plants. He looked at those 12 plants and he said, that's about 2,000 tomatoes there. And that entire space is 4x4. That's it, 4x4. Once again, that's the shade cloth, 40% sunblock. There's our said, oh man, you make me want to go out there right now, which actually I have to in a little while because I have to transplant some basil in the backyard. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different types of basil that we're putting back there. We have lime, spicy globe, holy green, sweet Genovese, Thai, Italian large leaf, lemon, and dark opal. We grow these every single year because I like pesto and I love caprese salad, and basil is delicious. It's super healthy. But when you've got basil and you've got tomato and all you got to do is go out and get yourself a little mozzarella, guess what? You are set for a summer luncheon. And I say it like that, man, because I'm from upstate New York. We're like crazy Italian up there. Sorry.
That's awesome. So what are some of the other hot weather crops you found did really well in Arizona? I mean, you've grown really in the high heat.
Well, right now, we're growing delicata squash. We're growing butternut squash. We're growing 2 types of cucumbers. We're growing 2 types of watermelon. We're growing cantaloupe. We're growing, like I just said, 8 types of basil. We're growing green onions. We're growing Swiss chard. We're growing curly kale. And we're growing beets. Now, the thing with aquaponics and the thing with desert growing is, remember how I said earlier, guys, that you keep that temperature at that level? And the reason being is the plants can't take the temperature above, I mean, they can take it above 80 degrees, but they don't like that. 85, the roots start dying off. And that's the primary temperature where the fish like it. So you try to find a middle ground for the plants and for the fish, which would be between 68 to 74 degrees. So in the minds of the plants who primarily tell the temperature by their roots, not by their leaves, in the minds of the plants, it's not 114 degrees outside. It's not a massive world-changing heat wave. This is a great place to grow. This is a great time to put out fruit. This is a great time to put out flower. So that's the biggest thing that we apply to desert growing. You have to know your climate. You have to grow with the desert in spite of it. Now, in the hydroponic side, because we're using the water chiller, we keep the water, once again, below 80, 85 degrees, nominally between 74 and 76. And that's great for the roots. No fish included is great for the roots. We would try to keep the water cooler, but it's not efficient on the power system that we're using, which is solar. It's not efficient at all. So in that case, we use the powered water chiller. And in hydroponics, we're growing, oh my gosh, it's a huge variety of peppers. I don't want to mistake naming them off, but ghost pepper, Thai pepper, long Italian hot pepper, hold on, Ukrainian sweet pepper, serranos, and oh my gosh, I think I'm leaving one out. Yes, shishito peppers. I did get them all. And we're growing 3 types of tomatoes. And this is in this blistering heat where people's plants are starting to suffer already. Fruiting plants are already shutting down. They can't take it. Ours are still putting out brand new buds. We've been doing this. So it's not like we just figured out how to do this. We've been doing this in the desert since 2014. But we started aquaponics and hydroponics in 2017. Pardon me, we started aquaponics in 2017. Pardon me, 2017. So we put this to use. We put this to practice. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can see in the background, but you see some pretty healthy plants behind me in the background. The only food that those plants get are the water, the wastewater, quote unquote, from the aquaponics rigs when we clean out 75 gallons every 3 months. We use that to fertilize the traditionally grown plants in our gardens. We use nothing else. And they don't not only prosper, they are doing tremendous. Aquaponics fish emulsion is one of the most expensive fertilizing sources that you can get. But it's a byproduct of using this system that's already given us so many benefits. You know what I mean? And I'm a newbie to this and I'm seeing this. I'm a newbie.
Well, and one of the other things I was going to mention too is in the wintertime, the inverse is true. So if you have a super cold night, for instance, and you can get lights to come on even at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and all the way to dawn, and get those plants to start uptaking that warm water through the roots. You can actually help warm the plants up internally as well.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right, and I'm glad you brought that up because a misconception is that it's hot all year round in the desert. No, you can go through some videos or pictures that I posted, and you'll see mountains. I mean, pardon me, you'll see snow on the mountains right in the backdrop of my house. We get cold. We get cold. It's at night we get cold. Like it drops when the sun goes down. It's like someone pulled a light switch and all the heat on Earth goes away in Tucson during the fall, in the spring, in the winter. Now, in our case, if you look at our aquaponic and hydroponic gardens, both of them have a metal frame around them. And that frame is actually, it goes to a quick tent that we bought pretty affordably, maybe a little over $100 on Amazon, right? So that frame comes with a green shell. It comes with an ultraviolet protected shell, which one person can put on in about 10 minutes. Two people can put on easily in less than 5 minutes. We use planter stones to hold the rocks down. I mean, pardon me, to hold the flaps down on the side of the greenhouse. Once those rocks get that on the flaps of the greenhouse down into the pressure of the actual soil, it's not exactly airtight, but it's darn near airtight. Once again, heat rises. We use a small foot heater inside of that greenhouse. Once again, powered by, we just said, because it's maybe a 350, 400 watt heater. It's an 800 watt solar system. That's an 800 watt solar power station. So we'll use that foot heater. It's like blowing up. One of the balloons that you go traveling, and it's like blowing up one of those. The heat rises. It basically fills out that greenhouse cover, and the temperature inside that greenhouse, when it's about 38, 46 degrees outside, it's about 78 inside there. Pardon me, not 70, 74, 76, once again, inside there. So we use minimum effort, maximum thought and engineering and science in order to get the expected outcome that we could get.
Awesome. So what are some different methods that maybe you've tried that you kind of figured out, maybe a tip or a trick or something kind of unique with a certain plant, or something that maybe you feel like you maybe kind of figured out something kind of a little bit more streamlined or something? I'm sure you've found a couple of cool things along the way so far, because you've been really, tinkering, and you have quite the tinkerer's mind. You were telling me a little bit about what you do for work and before the show, and I'm sure you've come up with some cool stuff.
Well, I would think it's cool. I'm not sure, but I'm a gardener, man. I'm a gardener and I'm a scientist and I'm a nerd. So I think the weirdest stuff is cool, brother. One thing is cloning. And once again, I'm not the most experienced gardener, guys. It's just your boy Chuck. All right. Like, plant that first seed together, we grow. But I realized, like with tomatoes, cloning and tomatoes, like before, I always knew that they were called suckers, right? And then I learned all of these tips and techniques to, like, you get this type of stuff that you dip it in. You know what I'm talking about? The stuff you dip the sucker in, put it in the substrate, and then it helps the roots accelerate. And you got to do this. You got to have it at this temperature. You got to have it at this degree. I got to tell you guys something. I realized that when I had that cherry tomato plant that survived those 2 years during the hottest time ever in our history, I was like, if my solution, if my hydroponic solution is leveled out, if everything's good, I should just be able to take these. And this is after like 40 different experiments on trying to get them in clay, started in clay balls and in coco coir. I said, I should just be able to take this and just set this right on the side. I should be able to set this right on the side. And when I say right on the side, I mean right next to one of the fabric pots in the grow beds. And the roots should take. Instead of all of that huss and fuss, I should be able to do that, and the roots should take. Lo and behold, after like 40 some odd tries, I did that and the roots took. Then here's another important one. And I wouldn't recommend this because this was sort of a mistake, but it's a cool thing that happened. I have one 5-gallon bucket, and oh, some companies are going to get mad when I say this. I have 1 5-gallon bucket, and I used to use that 1 5-gallon fabric pot, pardon me, as the propagator for the suckers, or the new growths, the elbows, the suckers when I first started. And I'd have like 10, between 10, 15 little suckers in there growing. And as soon as I see the new growth, I'd hand them out to people, I'd give them away. After a while, I forgot they were all in that pot. So I noticed now, if you look at that one picture you posted, Brother Jay, where it showed the back end of the garden, and on the far right side with just huge branches of tomatoes coming over. It's like maybe 300-400 tomatoes just in that one little corner. That's all from 1 5-gallon pot. So I know some manufacturers are going to get manufacturers and producers, fruit producers, seed producers are going to get mad at me. But I'm going to tell you folks right now, at least my luck with hydroponics, if the food source is there, you can go for broke as many seeds as you want to put in that pot. There you go. I just said it. And that's if you're doing the technique that we're using. And with that, the technique that we're using is we're using fabric pot. There you go. There you go. Right there, far right side. Absolutely. Now, that's from that far right side, that's from 1 pot. That's from 1 pot. And because I learned this through my experience, because the food source, the nutrient solution is right there. The roots aren't actually fighting for room. They're just reaching out and just making their way out of that pot easy. So in theory, you can grow multiple tomato plants from that 1 pot. If you can do it with tomato, and I say tomatoes and not any other plants because tomatoes are a vining plant. You see what I'm saying? So you can teach them to vine up in a direction and they're fine in that pot. It's a 4 foot by 4 foot square grow bed, but the amount of stuff growing in that tomato grow bed and that 4 by 4 grow bed is astounding. We've had people come here and study it. We have. They're blown away. And it's sort of like you have to factor in the process that the plant's going through, the process you're going through, the weather, how you can acclimate or how you can help this weather benefit your plants, benefit your plants, and without costing you out of your pocket, because I don't think unaffordable gardening is sustainable. It's not. We use the most basic things to keep things cool back there. It is. These processes we've been using, the Aztecs have been using for 2,000-3,000 years. They have. They were doing this in Egypt 7,000 BC. They were doing this technique. So it's nothing new. It isn't.
You had a kind of a cool PVC planting trick. I don't know if you wanted to talk about where you put like the PVC in the bed, and then do you want to talk about that?
Right on, brother. Right on, brother. I hope I'm not boring you guys, man. My bad if I am. I hope I'm not.
You're fine, and you're not boring at all.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll take about a 6-inch piece of a 4-inch PVC pipe. So 4 inches around, 4 inches across. All right. 6 inches long, and we'll cut that. All right. Pardon me. We'll cut that off of a longer PVC pipe. And the main substrate we're using, actually it works on any substrate, but in this case we were using lava rock. And you'll take that PVC pipe, you'll set it on top of the lava rock, and you'll give it a slight turn, pushing it down. By doing that, you'll reach your hand in and you'll remove those lava rocks. You'll notice there's a little gap there now. What you do is you take that PVC pipe, you turn it down a little more. You'll see that you pull out more lava rocks. Pretty soon you'll see that you're down to where the water level is in those water rocks, which should be about 2 inches below your top, 2 inches below the top of your substrate. At that point, you take your root plug, you slide it right into the space of that PVC pipe. You take the PVC pipe, you pull it over your root plug and just push the substrate in, and it fills it. It's the easiest way to transplant a plant from gardening. And we've used it from aquaponic to hydroponic, from hydroponic to traditional. We switched all 3 methods of gardening with all different types of plants, and we've had success with all of them from one type of growing to the other.
I was trying to find the video of, I don't remember which video it was on your site that I saw that on. I apologize.
No problem.
should have bookmarked it, but I thought that was a cool little trick.
Yeah,
I need to find the video, and I apologize to everybody. I'll move on to a different question, though.
no problem,
You
sir.
grow on New Zealand spinach. Tell us about that. A lot of people haven't had a chance to grow that.
Well, I learned this trick from oh my gosh, I forgot. It was this dude named Jed. And he was really, or Jed. He was really famous. Not my friend, but he was really famous on social media for sustainable gardening. And I was a huge fan of his when I first started. And he was talking about plants that he used to live in Tucson, and he lives up in Canada now. He's homesteading up there, but he used to talk about plants that you could grow in the desert that could live through the desert and have to actually thrive in. And the one he brought up with was the main one that I caught was New Zealand spinach. It's also called ice plant back there in New Zealand. And it's cool because if you look close at the leaf of the plant, you'll actually see crystals on it. And it reminded the people of New Zealand this is their land. And it wasn't called New ice plant in New Zealand. Pardon me. It wasn't called New Zealand spinach in New Zealand. It's called that here. It's called that here. And as people from New Zealand came here, it was like, that reminds us of back home New Zealand spinach. Back home, it's just called ice plant. And it's a super green. It's filled with all types of amazing vitamins and minerals. It really is. And the thing is, in the desert, it grows prolifically if you give it a good climate to grow in. You'll get a shade. It's very, very heat tolerant. And it grows, when I say it vines, if you know of vining plants, I can't think of anything else we've ever planted and grown it vined like this. It's a very prolific grower. We use it to actually replace during the winter. We did grow on leafy greens, but we use it to replace the majority of our leafy greens because it packs such a nutrient punch, and it has an incredible taste. It has like a little, you bite into it. It has like it's like a bite of sunshine with a little tart on it, and that in a salad, and it's just amazing, brother. Now the whole thing is that one little plant, all right, that took up. When it vined, it took up the entire side, 4 by 4 foot side of our grow bed reaching down. But in the actual grow bed, it only took up that 4-inch space. So in aquaponics, you want to keep in mind that you don't want to grow something that's going to take a long time to grow, because it's in and out, fruit and vegetable wise, with produce wise with aquaponics, it's in and out. And it's in and out because you have the capability to grow vast amounts of crop in a short period of time. And you can keep doing this and doing this over and over again. And I'd say not so much, you can do it with hydroponics, but aquaponics is really the thing that it got me. That's like the thing that really, really got me, man. I know I just drifted, my bad, but
It's all good. We kind of have a more laid back show. It's fun. What is there any other? You also talked about mung bean. I haven't heard of mung bean. Can you tell us about that? Is that more of like a hot tolerant bean?
well, here you go, sir. Before I was successful at hydroponics or aquaponics, I started with microgreens. And I have an indoor grow for microgreens. All right. I have an indoor grow for my microgreens. But seriously, I started off with microgreens, mung bean, broccoli seeds, the variety packs, because these things are, once again, incredibly sourced with nutrients. And when I first started up gardening, I wanted something that was fail-proof. So I started with that, and it worked. I mean, like literally, you can do it, I say 3 times a day, but you can change the water out on this little tray twice a day. You can grow them in a jar. You can grow them in a tray. But it's shocking because after 4 days, you cut the top off of all of this off, or you cut off what you want to eat, and it continues to grow and grow back and grow back. It's so, I think mung beans are, in a sense, I think it might be the same thing that, are they not chia seeds? But I know chia seeds are edible too. It's sort of in the same sense of something like that. Now you got these people who are buying these 12-inch microgreen trays. They're spending $15 a pop for these trays harvested. You can grow these in 4 days. So if anyone was actually be like, I want to make money out of this and I want something that's foolproof to grow, it would be microgreens. And it's super easy. You can do it on a shelf. One of these trays easily sell for $10, $15 a piece. You find your market for it, they're there. And That's why I said, and I got a lot of people started doing growing with those because I didn't want them to be discouraged. There's no reason to be discouraged. Dude, grass grows without you trying. All right? Without you trying. You want to know when it's messed up? When you try to grow grass. That means, all right, I know there are some, all right, I just heard what I just said. That can be taken different ways. You guys know what I mean. Well, go on, Dred.
Yeah, right. I guess it depends on what type of grass you're growing.
I know I was waiting for it. I asked for that, Rastafari. I asked for that.
The grids were just getting heavy. I needed to shift them off the back of my head from earlier.
Dude, that's an instant headache.
Oh yeah.
You ever get it in a knot and you sleep and then you got like have your partner have to work out your entire lower back, I mean your entire traps? Yeah,
no.
Man, oh man. Holy shit, dude. Damn,
Yeah.
all right, Rapunzel.
They're not so. So.
You're not Rapunzel, you're a Bluntsel.
Where's my Rapunzel? I like that.
Rapunzel.
Just not quite blonde enough, I guess. Maybe. I guess Rapunzel has brown ones that look like a blunt.
There you go.
I need to. Yeah. Anyways. Have you been to my stand-up? Sometimes I will pull a blunt out of my hair when I do that. Anyways.
Oh shit!
I was thinking about it really hard. Anyways, let me go back to my questions here. You have, do you have any advice for people trying to build their own solar array at home for their own garden?
Yes. Find as many solar groups that you can join, and join them, and join them. Never listen to the person that says, here's how you got to do it. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right. Join these groups. And before you do that, I promise you, this will be the smartest advice I could give anyone. Either YouTube or Google basic solar array. That's it. That's it. Anything that you're going to learn from one of those groups with people who say they know it all is going to confuse the shit out of you. Keep it simple, sir. Kiss. Keep it simple. All right? Keep it simple. Look at a basic array, diagram of a basic solar array, which is so simple. It is. It is, man. And just take it from there. Take it from there. You can get a kit if you want to. If you want to. Or you could put that kit together on Amazon or through local, like I said, Facebook and on Marketplace and Craigslist are your friends. That's what got me started. You can find affordable equipment through there. For a matter of fact, I was on Facebook earlier today and I saw 245 watt, 24 volt plant panels. I think they were 9.8 volts or something like that. I might be mixing the number up, but they were for $65 a piece. That's a steal. That's like a steal. 250 watts a piece, $65 a piece. Brand new, you're paying like $250 because I think it's like $1 a watt, something like that. So go for those places, look at those resources because these things have guarantees on them. And these solar panels aren't like 20, 30 years old. They're maybe like 5, 7 years old. And you're doing this as an experiment because you're just getting started, but it doesn't need to break your pocket. Don't let it break your pocket. Don't. And when it comes to figuring out how many batteries that you may need, here's my rule of thumb. For the most part, people have cars, all right? And if you've been driving for any lengthy amount of time throughout your life, you probably left an interior light on or your headlights on, all right? And in a few hours or whatever, you go out and your car won't start because the battery won't turn over. Now, that happened to the same batteries we use, except it was a little tiny light bulb, all right? So imagine you gotta have a battery bank. Don't expect one battery to power a pump 24 hours a day. It's not gonna do that. You have to know the limitations of the battery It's simple math between a battery in your solar panels and a wattage of your equipment. You do that, and you're going to avoid 99% of the problems that your boy right here did. And that's my biggest advice. Jump in, take your advice, don't spend overhead. I also want to point this out if I can. I've learned that a lot of my friends, when they get solar done professionally, and I do recommend that, get it done professionally, you know, if you want it. But if you do, make sure that you're getting the battery package with your solar array. Because right now, these grid tie, the vast majority of grid tie packages that people are getting don't have battery packs. So if a brownout or a powder outage occurs, you're still without power. And I learned that from just from people who have contacted me recently. I really want to put that out there. Make sure you're getting that battery package with your solar array if you're getting it professionally done. If not, I mean, yeah, in 25 years, you'll be making money back from the government for electricity. But if your power goes off tomorrow, you're shit out of luck. And what good are those solar panels doing you? That's what I'm saying.
The other thing I was going to say, I'm trying to find a picture of them, like the ones I had in Jamaica. There they are. This is what I was thinking of. So the other option, if you're wanting to supplement it, is you can go with something like this. These smaller vertical wind turbines.
Oh, I love
These are really good
those.
if you want something that you can with the solar panels, especially if you're in a higher wind area, you're in the islands, you're in a mountain range, a hillside, you know, anywhere where you're going to get more than wind than your average bear. They are really, really, really good for supplementing solar.
You got to put me onto that, Steve.
Oh yeah.
Like I've seen similar. You got to put. Come on, man.
When you really get into, hold on, I'll show you the really big ones.
You got it.
You get into these bad boys. Oh, where are they? Oh, what is it? Cali. I can't find them now real quick. Anyways, you can get these super giant natural gas turbines now. It's like a giant turbine engine from like a tank or some shit, but it sounds like an airplane or a tank engine firing up. It's super cool. But they use them for like large scale remote cannabis operations or other just large farms that are out in the middle of nowhere in gas country where they don't have a lot of infrastructure for the electrical lines, but they do have a ton of infrastructure for the gas lines in the area. I'm trying to find a picture of them. I think it's Cal Turbine.
KAL.
Second, I'll find them here. Cal Micro Turbine. That's what it was. Cal Micro Turbine. Yeah, these bad boys. So these are cool. I've had a chance to work with these on a grow, and these are super neato because they put out hot water and cold water and power. So they're really, really neat in terms of being able to use them for part of your climate control model for your greenhouse as well, for chilling stuff. So it's really nice.
That's amazing. By the way, y'all,
presented right before that and got a chance to tour one of their facilities. They're really neat.
Dude, that is really amazing, man. Wow. Well, and you know, that leads me to my next point. There are so many innovations out there in the form of sustainable gardening, and because it's much more than just a trend, and it's much more than just a hobby. I believe it's something that we all have to accept and play our part in it, because we do have limited resources here. Look at this, man.
They have small ones that are like pallet size and stuff, depending on your application. But a lot of times, so like a lot of places, California, and I'm sure parts of Arizona are like this, where they don't allow you to have generators and stuff like that because they're worried about fires. They're worried about people doing stupid crap. But if you have it completely off grid, where you are providing your own microgrid 100% of the time, then you're allowed to have it, right? So if you just say, hey, we're never going to rely on the state or its electrical grid, then that is often allowed whereas other times it would not be if you had it just as supplementary or as backup. And California is a great example of that. So these
Right
guys
on.
offer kind of good solutions, up to 100,000 kilowatts, 30 to 100,000 kilowatts with their stuff. So if you are looking for something more remote, and they do have natural gas, man, this is the company that I recommend the most for larger scale stuff.
I wrote them down, brother. Thank you for the wisdom. I wrote them down, my man. Wow.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, just mentioning when you were talking about ways to mitigate heat stress, silica is very important to mitigating heat stress in plants and plant response. If the plants have
Absolutely
high
right.
silica, it reduces bolting in lettuce, it'll reduce leaf curling, it'll reduce all types of heat stress responses in plants, foxtailing and cannabis, all different types of heat responses that you have from that specifically can be mitigated with the proper silica levels. And the best way to do that is with just switching your potassium hydroxide or carbonate or bicarbonate, depending on what you're using and why, to a potassium silicate for your pH up, for your pH maintenance. And that does a really good job of passively supplementing silica and letting that kind of, slowly accumulate into the system.
I'm learning, brother. Thank you. Dropping jewels, man. That's what I'm talking about, brother. Dropping jewels, man.
It also helps with frost resistance as well. You'll have fewer frost problems. So you can have a much lower temperature before you actually have tissue damage with a higher silica level in the water. We've seen that quite a few times, especially in this last Texas freeze. It was big time. The systems that were dosing it versus not. We saw that pretty night and day at one or two customers in Texas this year.
Oh man, I felt horrible when that entire thing. You're watching your fellow brothers and sisters suffer, man. And I had a bunch of gardeners. Bless the people, that went through it during that time. I had a bunch of gardeners, man, who it hit them hard, like aquaponics, sustainable gardeners, and it wiped out their entire crops. And even though it messed their houses up too, I got to tell you, they were pretty upset about their houses. Houses had insurance. I realized a lot of them felt like they let their plants down, and they were crushed. And that's how personal, as gardeners, that we take it. We take it. Those aren't just things there. Those are living things. They live, we coexist. We can benefit off of each other. And it was just really hard watching. It was really hard watching that happen. And I mean, they've recovered. A lot of the gardeners have recovered. And my thing is, I just didn't want them to quit. It messed me up. It did. It messed me up because I remember what their gardens looked like the day before. I remember what they looked like the day before. And I wish I could have done something. I wish I could have done something. It last summer when like I said, we had that extreme outrageous heat wave. I wish I could have done something for my residents here. And in fact, I was able to do that. Like I said, with the tomato starts, and even with giving them an idea of, hey, if things ever get this bad again, here's how you can actually survive and do this in the desert. And like with sustainable gardening, the biggest thing about doing it in a desert is folks are like, I got 1/8 of an acre, or I have 2/3 of an acre, or whatever. It's like, that's not really something you can look at with sustainable hydroponic and aquaponic gardening in a desert. It's not. I mean, and you're saying you got a little house here, you have a homestead. You want to grow for your homestead, but you want to use up all of this land. Well, you have to find a balance between your resources and what your needs are. And for the most part, 99.99% of the time, we need to draw back on our needs, because for the most part, we're wanting, not our needs, our wants. We're wanting too much. And I could show that in my yard, because I had my boys moved away. Our boys moved away. They live in Phoenix now. So, but we were a family of 5, and my kids are giants, man. My boys are giants. And so we were a family of 5, and those chickens and those two 4x4 aquaponic grow beds, that one, pardon me, those two 4x3 aquaponic grow beds, that one 3x3 hydroponic grow bed, and that one 4x4 hydroponic grow bed provided the majority of leafy greens and fruit and vegetables that we would eat in our house. Because in the desert, you don't have the luxury of all of that space, because you don't have the water, the luxury of the water to water all of that space. You don't have the luxury of shade. You know what I'm saying? To cool down all of that space. You don't. And you have to find a proper balance, because and I'm not trying to get all deep with folks or anything, but with the abuses in the Colorado River, please bring awareness to that. The abuses going on with the Colorado River right now. Damn it, we have to cut back ourselves, because these growers are not. They're not. For the first time, I believe Southern California is actually having, a parts of Southern California are actually having a cutback on our water ratio. The same thing's being threatened here in Southern Arizona. This is because we're not understanding that there is a finite, thin line between what we want and what we have and what should be. If it's out of line with nature, it can't be. I mean, it's, like I said, I don't want to get deterred off of what we're talking about, but you know, when I looked into it, and it's not me being a research analyst or anything, but when I looked into it and I was like, damn, it's the vast majority of this water is not coming to us city dwellers. And I need folks to know that it's not going to us city dwellers. It's going to these floodplain agricultural centers, man. That's where it's going. That's where it's going. So they're not even assuming the thought of sustainable gardening. Like if you see an avocado or an almond commercial now, you'll start hearing them mention. And I just noticed this, I swear to you, my friends, you'll just now start noticing that there's just now mentioning, we're trying to reserve water in this way or in that way. You got pardon me for taking a sarcastic edge in this, because no, the hell you're not. No, you're not. You know who's going to make our water supply last? Us. We are. The sustainable gardeners, the gardeners who know how to take water from a tap. They know how to clean it enough so that it supports the fish. That same water then goes through the system, supports the worms, supports the bacteria, supports the plants. Those plants then feed you. The quote unquote wastewater that you need to remove from that tank is used to feed the traditional fruiting and vegetable and gardens that you have on your yard. What if these large grow consortiums, these large growing corporations, what if they were to use an inkling of the sustainability that we know we have to, because our water is going to be messed with, man. Our water is going to be cut short, not theirs. What if they applied the same thing? You know, the biggest part about Together We Grow is this is all we have. Together we grow. If we're not growing, guess what? Not living. Stagnation, then it's death. As a race, as a human existence, I don't want to die. I don't want to be the cause of the death of this planet. I don't want to be that reason. I don't even want to put myself in the ranks of folks like you, brother. I don't. Set the ground, folks like you set the ground for folks like me, all right? To honestly look at ourselves in the mirror and say, what can we do? So maybe it's not a huge farm in Jamaica. Maybe it's not a huge farm in Africa. Maybe it's not a huge farm in South America. Maybe it's that 4x4 plot in my backyard that's making a damn difference. And I know it is. I know it is.
Oh yeah, Liberty Gardens in World War II.
Hey, what you know about Liberty Gardens, man? You're too young for that.
My grandparents grew up during the Depression. Man, I grew up in a garden. We had a 2-acre. My grandparents had a 2-acre garden. The whole back half of it was one giant, garden plot. In fact, I looked at it on satellite the other day and I about cried because it was all like, not maintained as a garden plot anymore, and I was kind of pissed off about it. But
oh no,
my grandparents would conscript any kid that no one was looking after. Grandma would just grab them and knock on the door and tell them that she was kidnapping them, and then she'd conscript them into the gardens.
Child labor.
I think that was the legal way to do it back in the day. Nowadays, I think they call that kidnapping and all kinds of other things. She'd end up on a list somewhere, and Probably couldn't fly on an airplane.
Yes, you.
We had a couple questions from chat. We have high GH and KH, so we're rarely using pH up. Do you think using humic acid would be a good way to lower the pH of top off water, or is it too weak? I wouldn't use humic acid. Humic acid's gonna not really do a whole lot to your pH. Labs actually would probably be your best bet, and it can be a good way to kind of passively add it. You can add your lactobacillus bacteria to lower that pH. You know, if you're dosing it at a 1 to 1,000 rate in your system anyway, that's going to naturally lower your pH a little bit on its own as well, but you can use it just for your top off water at an even higher rate. And when you pour it into the system, it'll be a lower dilution by the time it goes back into the system. So that would be my choice. Or hey, if you're low on phosphorus, go with phosphoric acid. The other option would be muriatic acid, but labs would probably be my go-to if you can. What else do we have here? Okay, I just saw that question real quick. I wanted to ask, or at least answer it before it totally scrolled by. Is there any crops that you haven't had a chance to grow yet that you'd be excited to grow in? You know, or maybe some stuff that this year you're growing that you haven't grown last year, or anything like that?
That's a great question. We're growing hackberries this year, which are also heat tolerant, and they provide not only good tasting little berry fruit for us, but the songbirds love them, as well as I think it's the monarch butterfly. It's their favorite one. I believe it's the monarch. Another special all butterflies are special, but another specific type of butterfly that love to lay their eggs or whatever they do on their larvae, whatever it is, on the plants. So we're growing those. We're also growing pomegranate, very heat resistant, little use of water, and we're growing dragon fruit. And the dragon fruit is actually taken off over the last year. Another prolific grower, form of cactus in the desert. And we're happy and excited to see what the outcomes of these new plant adventures are, because the idea is not to use an excess of water. And you'll hear me repeat this again, to grow with the desert instead of in spite of it. And during different seasons, each one of those plants that I just named will provide a different type of necessity or a different type of essential resource for the plant and animal life in our gardens, including ourselves.
Awesome. Is there any additions that you're doing to your system anytime soon? Or are you pretty happy with where you have? I saw that you had worked with Dutch buckets. I wanted to ask your opinion on that with aquaponics, or if that was strictly hydroponics, and you know, kind of what your experience was with that as well.
Good question. That aquaponics rig that you saw is actually built to it's powerful enough to take care of 2 more grow beds on top of those ones we have. So we're going to double the size of the aquaponics grow bed space. So we're going to do that in the winter because like I said, we're in the mid hundreds, 105s, 110s. We're there now. You can't do that out in this desert. You can't do that. So that's our fall, spring project for next year. Wait, what was the other part of that question?
Just about if you're going to add anything else, or is there anything that maybe you want to add that is different with your system? So like you have media beds, or you plan on adding more media beds, or you're going to do DLD or anything different with the new addition?
Well, just see, with the new additions, they are going to be the media beds. We're going to stick with 3-inch scoria lava rock because it works great for us. And regarding Dutch buckets, we originally, when I went head first into the world of hydroponics, it was Dutch buckets. But living in a desert, we realized that if you're going to use Dutch buckets for hydroponics, that's a winter crop. You're looking at lettuces, things of that nature, very successful. Brassicas, things of that nature, very successful. For the summer, it's not enough water, even using, because are you familiar with the big boy systems, HTG, the big boy systems? The big 55 gallon, the big 55 gallon reservoirs. The starts off with a 6, you can enlarge it up to 18 bucket system. And I did that, went all the way up to an 18 bucket system, and realized that it's still hard as hell to keep 55 gallons of water cool in a desert. You're really fighting against nature right now. The only way that it would be cool is if it was like 350 gallons. All right. And you could get some air moving over the top of it, which led me into the aquaponic side. Now, we do have a lot of experience with the Dutch bucket system. If you're growing indoors, if you're growing on a patio to where if it gets super hot, if you want to take your plant in your house so it can get cooler, we would recommend the Dutch bucket system. And regarding the Dutch bucket systems, we'd also recommend a mixture of the clay balls and a cocoa core. It seemed to work great with us. It didn't seem to get too much of the cocoa core into the filter system or going back into the main reservoir tank. We didn't have a problem with that. And that was just a little part of me. Let me take that back. We use the mixture in the fabric pots where the shit can't get out. Okay, I'm sorry about that. In the Dutch buckets, we just use the clay balls, man. I had to correct myself. We use the clay balls. I had to think about that.
I did just want to say we did test a bunch of different types of cocoa coir at the aquaponic source, and the issue that why we stopped working with it was there's a couple of problems. One, a lot of times it's cheaply produced, and these countries where it comes from don't have. I have all kinds of creatures that I've adopted over the years, so I apologize.
I'm loving this.
Sorry, I apologize about the animals. A lot of these cocoa coir comes from poorer countries, and they wash it in the ocean, right? So you have very high sodium levels in a lot of these, and you also can, over time accumulate things from that local area that maybe aren't so fresh, depending on where it is that they're washing it. So that can be a problem. The other issue that we had with, so make sure if you do go with cocoa that you get a better quality cocoa. Don't just get the cheapest bag that they have, I guess is the point of that. The other issue that we had with it was we tried like the chips. They have kind of like it almost like is like a mesquite chip version of it as well that's for sale. And we had issues with that kind of getting really mushy after 8 to 12 months if we didn't do that. If we kind of put it in its own larger pouch and then let it kind of grow indefinitely in the lab. Right on. And in the showroom. So absolutely, you can use it in a system, but just like you said, just make sure that you do keep it contained in some type of cloth pot or something else.
Exactly. Yeah.
It'll turn into mush and get into the media bed, and then it's like impossible to get out.
What was funny is when I was saying it, I was looking at you, look at me, and as I corrected myself, he was like, "Okay, there he goes."
No, it's fine. You can use cocoa. It's just, and I'm not trying to tell you not to use it or even correct you. By all means, if it works for you, man, rock on. I'm just saying that
in the fabric
just
pots.
just like you're saying, keep it contained.
yes, keep it contained. Keep it contained in the fabric pots. We also realized another thing that keep in mind, like when you're building your system, if you want to apply solar to take care of, and if you want to apply solar, make sure there's a reason you're applying it and stay realistic. Like if you want to heat your and I should clarify this, like when it comes to heating the aquaponics tank during the winter, we plug into the grid. We do. I mean, I don't want to bullshit anyone. I don't want to lie to anyone. When it comes to heating the tank in the winter, we're grid tied. And the reason we do that is because we use all of the chilling the entire summer and spring when we're chilling it, we're using the solar so it offsets the cost of what it would cost us, you know what I'm saying, to keep it grid tied and to chill it during the summer. So it really is an in-between play. And we do that because we're less than a kilowatt right now. We're upgrading up to 5 or 6 kilowatts. And at that time, we'll no longer be doing it. Everything, the heating, winter heating, everything will be through the grid. I just don't want anyone to look at the videos and be misconceived on what we're doing, because I try to keep everything as clear as possible. In the summer, everything's running off that grid. Pardon me, everything's running off of solar. We live in a desert. We can take advantage of that. I'm talking about we're pulling down 4.6 kilowatts a day, dude. That's nuts. Or an 800 watt rig. That's what we're pulling down in the desert. As long as you have the battery capacity to hold that energy, you're good money. What equipment you're using, as long as you're not trying to abuse it. It's not like we have 8,000 BTU air conditioners hooked up to it. That's not going to work like that. We're using the one water chiller and we're using all smart devices. That fan that we have in a solar shed, that's actually USB powered. And that's plugged right into one of our pieces of equipment, the solar pieces of equipment in the solar shed. So the majority, like I can tell you how much it costs to run everything here because we have everything hooked up to smart meters and the smart outlets. And that's the best part of what we're doing is when we look at the end of the month, how much money we save. And then you look at how much you produce that month. And then you realize you're really living in the ideal state of sustainability, especially living in a country like America, where I don't want to say we're as sustainable as you're going to get. We are comfortably sustainable, and there's more room to grow. Man, Steve, you got me drifting.
No, it's fine. We had to continue drifting some pretty funny stuff in chat. Somebody said potent petting zoo and potent petting palace.
The triple P. I like that.
So,
Potent petting zoo.
But I absolutely agree with you. You know, it's super cool to have that type of food security and have that kind of, you know, on-site production and not have to worry about, you know, oh, if this happens, or even just an event of like what happened in Texas. You know, there was parts of Louisiana that took over a month to get power again after that. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of parts of Texas and Louisiana and the more remote areas, it took a month for them to get power again. Okay, so that's, you know, what would you do? What are you going to do about a grocery store? What are you going to do about anything, right? Like, what are you going to drive 3 hours each way? You know, we had to go through that when the floods happened in Colorado. You know, what used to be an easy 50-minute drive suddenly became a 3-hour trek to get groceries each time we had to get groceries. So,
you know, the most recalled food that we have in the U.S. isn't beef, isn't chicken, isn't pork. It's leafy greens. It's leafy greens. Now, last year, when I finally got this is like 4 years ago, when I really got the gist of hydroponic gardening. You know, I had my tube system set up. I had my lettuce growing in a tube, and it was all healthy. And my friends back home are like, man, it's nice to have that, but why do you need that? If I want lettuce on a burger, I'm just going to get me a burger with lettuce on it. And then we had the recall on lettuce. And it was like, why burgers cost so much now? Why am I spending so much money on lettuce? Why is lettuce so expensive in the stores? To me, Brother Steve, that's when it hit to me how we could really benefit from this. Because I was like, yo, you know what? You could have people with a block of gold right now and they can't get a head of lettuce, and that's really going to piss them off. But I got mad heads of lettuce right here. All right. So when it comes down to it, what's real power? What's real strength? Is it the hand that's full of seeds, or is it the hand that's full of gold coins? Unless there's something to buy, those gold coins mean nothing. Those seeds are life, brother.
Absolutely. Hold on, we got to do our quick shout out here. Koot Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. I don't know where Koot is tonight.
I love it.
It's kind of this running joke we have now. Anyways, we like to have him on the show, and he'll randomly pop in, but anyways, long story.
No problem.
I don't want to take up your whole evening. I had to cover one or two other questions. Do you have any other advice for people dealing with hot climate aquaponic systems or setups? Since you've had quite a bit of experience, do you have any advice for people looking to plan their own in a similar type climate?
Yes, sir. If possible, do it indoors. However you do it to scale. Grow what you need. Like seriously, grow what you need. Do it indoors if possible. 40% shade cloth is your best friend. Anything more than 40%, your roots aren't going to be stimulated correctly, and your leaves aren't going to receive proper stimulation from the sun. So it's not going to work right. It's not going to work right. I can't say it's not going to. It can, but you're not going to get the most potential out of your plant. The biggest thing growing in a dry desert climate, and I can't stress this enough, make sure your gardens are facing east to west. Like I said, when you're walking in the sun, your top of your head is covered. So you want the way that the sun travels, which is the only way that your garden can travel, is the way that the sun is traveling east to west. You want to have your head of your garden covered, east to west, 40% sunblock. If it's costing you more to cool your garden than it is for you to grow differently. If you think there's a limitation on how you can grow, you're dead wrong. This is the only time I'll ever tell you you're wrong. If you think that you can't grow, pardon me, I lied just now. There's another time I'm gonna tell you you're dead wrong, because yes, you can. All you have to do is plant that first seed. You got this. I'm a transplant from upstate New York. Dude, we all know how to skate, and we all ice skate, and we all know how to ski and shit, man. Are you serious? I'm from Central New York. Pardon me. Peace out, Utica, all my family back there. Big 315 in the house. This was new to me. I couldn't grow crap back home. My people back home, shout outs to my man Chris Bivens, Chippy, Joe Sweet, the entire growing crew up there. Love you guys. They got me started, man. Mark, Danny Rabice, they got me started. And what they taught me back then didn't even click until I got to the desert, because I couldn't relax enough to just let growing be. I had to have a challenge. And my challenge was not to grow against the desert, but to grow, not to grow in spite of it, but to grow with it. And I think in that regard, we over here really accomplished something that Biosphere 2 did not. And I'm not kidding when I say that. Anyone can make an innovation. Anyone can make an innovation. I didn't even realize I made one until recently.
Well,
I
didn't see any purple sticky hemp and no poly shore.
Okay,
So
well,
no, I love that movie and I love that scene, so I just had to shout that out. You're clearly on a better path.
Dude, he tore that shit up. But yeah, it's not as much science based. Stay relaxed if you do it. We as humans have been doing this for but for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. We've been doing this. Aquaculture, we've been doing it. And the way you described it earlier, Steve, with using with your friend who has he has the fish farm with the growing of the beautiful variety of fish, but it's actually tied in with the permaculture, with the stuff that's growing, and he has the channels going out to each end. Well, 2,700 years ago, all right, in Casa Grande, which is in Arizona, which is the big house, the big castle, that was the head of the river people. And the river people would have these channels going off of the Casa Grande River, and they would have these channels going out to between a mile and 10 miles going out from the side of the river. And these channels would have, just like you were explaining, you were describing, with the fish going up, just living their daily life through the channels. But these channels were used to feed, to provide water and fertilizer for the agriculture they were growing. We're relearning something. We're relearning something that we've known forever. And I just hope I hope we don't lose it, man. I really don't. I hope we don't lose it again, because that would suck, brother. It would. Whoa.
Yeah, this is part of Josh's farms, Dutch Bloom's farm. He's done a lot more work the last couple of months to it. You can see the stream.
You're the man,
there.
Josh.
But he'll be on the show again soon with more tours. But he's constantly upgrading it. But super cool facility is the guy I was telling him about. But as a super cool greenhouse facility, ponds that integrate to it,
I love
living
it.
soil, Hugo, all integrated together into one giant system that feeds off of one central watering area that all goes back into the ground and then back into the system. It's
That's
really
absolutely
cool.
amazing. That's Tell him, man, tell him he's my hero, man. He's killing it.
We got the different tanks and sprayer for spraying the beneficial microbes around without killing them.
Mhm.
And anyways, super cool farm. Definitely check out his content. If you want to see a whole tour of it, we did a whole tour of it as part of the virtual Aquaponic Cannabis Conference. Don't forget, this year's is going to be in November, the second weekend in November. If you guys are looking for that, we'll have a whole really awesome guests lineup. We have, hold on, well, I don't know if, I'm going to keep it secret, but we have some super cool guests lined up for the
right on.
Including an interview. We're going to have a talk with the only current legal aquaponic cannabis producer in Bangladesh as well, and some other really, really cool speakers that are going to be outside of it. We're also going to have a home growers panel, a craft growers panel, and a commercial growers panel this year, as far as panels for different levels of commercial production. The industry has really grown in the last year and a half, and we kind of have a lot more people that can talk now. So it's a lot of fun. Some people you guys had last year, and then quite a few new faces. We're going to have more speakers than last year by a considerable amount, and depending on how many people RSVP, we might even add a third day. So
nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We had a real big success last year and put a ton of content out. We had 14 hours of content last year on aquaponic cannabis growing from speakers from around the world. This year, we're going to have at least, significantly more than that, hours of content. We're going to do 8 a.m. Well, we'll announce it when it's all together, but it's going to be a couple extra hours than last year.
Right on.
So yeah, super on that. So is there anything that people can do if they want to support you or follow you or anything like that?
Oh, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Please check out our website, Together We Grow AZ. It's all one word, togetherwegrowaz.com. And that's where we'll be promoting and sign up for our newsletter that will be starting, and you'll be getting all of the newest information about tips, tricks, any new discoveries we make here, any new finds that we make in aquaponics here. Plus, you'll get exclusive you'll get exclusive VIP views. So all of the videos that we make, all of our upcoming videos, including our brand new YouTube series, which is going to be called Together We Grow, and it's on Together We Chuck Sam and Collins Together We Grow on YouTube. So please look us up there as well as Together We Grow on Facebook, which is where we'll be giving you the most updated information on special guests, special guests, special assignments that we'll be having in the new show coming up. For instance, in the month of July, fingers crossed, I can't say the name yet, but we might be having a former Super Bowl NFL champion come here who's fond of gardening. He's going to take a look at our place, give it a walk around. We'll also be giving you offering exclusive tips, like once again on gardening, on aquaponics and hydroponic gardening. Once again, that's togetherwegrowaz.com. That's Together We Grow on Facebook, and that's Together We Grow on YouTube. You can find me, I believe you can find me on Instagram at Chuck the Sandman Collins. You can also find me personally on Facebook at Chuck the Sandman Collins. I really don't find a differentiation between any of the contacts. What you see is what you get. This is the real me. I can't be anything less. Couldn't chisel this happiness away with a hammer and a knife. I'm sorry, guys. This is just the way it is. But please contact us. We can't grow unless you help us grow. We plan on making trips all around the nation, not just the nation, but around the world, to bring this beautiful idea of sustainable living to all of you. And if you'd like us to bring this idea, to bring this vision to your town at a speaking seminar or anything of that nature, please contact us at Together We Grow AZ. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Steve, for everything, my brother.
Absolutely. And thanks for coming on the show tonight. It's been a lot of fun talking with you and getting to know you. And yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about or mention before we wrap up the show?
Just the shout outs to my people back home. First and foremost, my mom. Mommy, I love you. After my mom, even though she's not back home, she's here. My beautiful wife. I love you, Rosie. Guess what? We planted that first seed and we did it. Okay, it just sounds like we made a kid. Don't edit that because that's what it sounded like. She's gonna laugh when she sees this.
You planted a couple, I think.
Well, we planted. Oh man, 5 boys, 1 girl. We did it, dude. We did it. Oh, and hey, guys, listen. 50 is just a number. All right. I still break dance. I still do backflips. It is what it is. Eat green, stay clean. All right. Drink distilled water. I mean distilled water. Make sure you drink good water. Okay. Don't drink this tap crap. Stay away from sodas. I don't know what else to tell you. Eat your vitamins, do your exercise. It's Hulk Hogan, America, motherfucker. I'm sorry.
You're fine. No, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Again, we all already get censored by YouTube, so it's fine.
And whatever, guys, whatever you do, stay blessed, stay up, stay positive. When you wake up, your eyes wake up, your eyelids rise, and don't ever let anyone take anything about you down that entire day. I love you guys, all right? Peace.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Really
you got it, brother.
Take care.
Take it easy, Steve. Peace.
Cheers. All right, everybody. Well, thanks a lot for joining us. You guys can find out more information on him over at togetherwegrowaz.com. There's a link in the description, with a link to his YouTube channel as well. You can find out more. And yeah, thanks a lot for joining us again. You can check out apmjclass.com for the aquaponic cannabis class that Marty and I have. We have over 7 days of video content as well as 650 slides and numerous live sessions now. And we're constantly adding new content to the course. So definitely check that out. And if you do need aquaponic cannabis nutrients, you can check that out at apmjnewts.com. And if you need vegetable nutrients, you can check that out over at trueaquaponics.com. Thanks a lot for joining us. You can find us, all of previous episodes are available in both audio and video format. You can find them on video format on the Potent Ponics YouTube channel or in audio format on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, all the different things. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot. Take care, and we'll see you guys again next week.